Osmosis Jones is an early 2000s animated buddy cop film that takes place within the body of Frank and has the various cells act as a police force in the film. The main villain of the film is this guy. He's called the Red Death in the film, but I've always been curious as to what exactly this disease was. In doing research for it, I discovered some pretty horrifying truths about the world of Osmosis Jones that I'm not even sure the creators of the movie considered when making the film. Because my journey started with trying to identify this virus, that's where we'll start. So at first, I tried looking him up by name, but the Red Death isn't the name of any illnesses or diseases. Although you could say it's linked to scarlet fever, the symptoms he produced and the quick fatality rate doesn't point in that direction. Alright, so no dice there, but his actual name in the movie is Thrax, short for Anthrax. And while Anthrax can be fatal, the way it infects you, and more importantly, the way it kills you, doesn't match Thrax's MO. Anthrax is an infection that you can get from being around animals or infected animal products, and looking at the way Frank catches his virus, that checks out. Anthrax can cause flu-like symptoms, and Thrax intentionally causes flu-like symptoms to avoid detection within the body of Frank. Even though Thrax claims to be contagious, just like Anthrax, it's clear as day that he does not contain any contagion-like properties, as seen when Jones clearly touches his leftover bile and doesn't get infected. Even though I said that Thrax isn't Anthrax, the symptoms line up almost perfectly until you get to the method of murder. Depending on how you receive Anthrax, either by inhalation, consumption, or through the skin, Anthrax kills you by causing lesions and ulcers in or on the body and causing internal bleeding. Our movie guy Thrax, however, attacks the hypothalamus, which then draws up an entirely new problem. Tons of viruses out there indirectly affect the hypothalamus by damaging the body and the brain, but none of them seek it out as a way to kill us. Technically, no viruses are trying to kill us, they're just trying to replicate, and that in turn causes us to die. But not Thrax, no. He's not trying to survive and spread his viral bodies. He's out to kill purely for his own ego.
Then there's this old guy in Philly.
I killed him in 72 hours.
Yeah, I'm getting better as I go along, baby, but the problem is I never set a record. Until my man Frank, that is. I'm gonna take him down in 48 hours. Get my own chapter in the medical books.
That's not how viruses operate. That's how people operate. But Thrax isn't a person, right? He's a virus. But I'll be honest, the way he behaves, the way he targets specific things in the body, the way he remembers and learns from his previous kills, it's too human-like. And that's when it hit me. I've been looking at this whole thing entirely wrong. I should have been trying to figure out what kind of virus this guy was. I should have been trying to figure out what the hell was going on with the creatures in this movie. I know they're supposed to be cells and bacteria, but they don't act like it. First off, I'd like for someone to explain to me how it's possible that a cell can have a broken arm or neck. They're supposed to be stretchy and rubbery and malleable to a certain extent. I could accept it if they got bruised or were sick or even fat like this guy. But look, this guy is wearing a neck brace. This kid is in a damn wheelchair, and that doesn't make sense from what we're shown with Ozzy. Speaking of, I didn't know these things needed to breathe. Here, Ozzy is clearly getting choked out, and apparently this is working, all right? So that means that the cells need to breathe, which, okay, I'll give him that. Cells breathe in real life, but not the same way we do. They pull in air through osmosis, not down their air canal. And while we're here, can we talk about how strange it is for them to have teeth or wear clothes? I thought their appearance and clothes was all a part of, like, this guy is clearly wearing underwear, and we see the mayor and this dude wearing glasses that we actually see shatter. I can chalk the clothing thing up to them just making it out of Frank's flesh, but you can't make glass with anything that exists inside of a person. But what if he wasn't a person? What if Frank and all the other humans in this world weren't actually people, but sophisticated pieces of machinery that look like humans? Hear me out, but what if the cells are just the people that live inside these machines, like in that old Eddie Murphy movie, Meet Dave? It would make sense why the cells see themselves as individuals and refer to Frank as a separate being.
Yo, be careful. That's a pollen pod, man. Frank is totally allergic to this stuff.
Mayor Fleming may think that things are fine just the way they are. But I think that if we pull together and put in a little hard work, a new Frank could be right around the corner.
Leah, I want Frank to be healthy, but think of the sacrifices.
This also explains why there's buttons and devices in Frank that cause him to commit involuntary actions like farting or vomiting, or why the cells can at any time take control over the main body and force him to do things against his will.
Voice manual control on.
Hey, that's only for emergencies.
Leah, this is an emergency. On second thought.
On second thought.
Perhaps I'll take a cold pill.
Perhaps I'll take a cold pill.
Even if they don't take full control, they can still compel him to do something he otherwise wouldn't have.
Okay, Frank. This is your, conscience speaking. Now listen carefully. This hiking trip means the world to her. Figure out a way to make it work. Use that charm.
And this isn't like Inside Out where your emotions are compelling you to behave in a certain way like in real life. No, we see the Council of Frank's emotions, which look to be random cells that were probably elected into their positions just like the mayor was. It's actually kind of scary and sad that at any point in time, Frank and other people like him can be controlled and have their entire personality shift or start behaving strangely, all because the cells in charge of them decided they wanted to do something differently. It also kinda explains why Drix is so useless despite being one of the strongest beings in the film. He's supposed to be a generic Tylenol type drug, meaning that he's easy to create and manufacture in this world, but what they assign him to do is far less than what he's capable of. He's able to traverse through the body and completely eliminate any virus or disease he comes across without being rejected by the body. And they have him running the equivalent of dummy missions by putting him on sore throat and runny nose duty. That's like using the world's most powerful and sophisticated computer with infinite storage to draw smiley faces on Microsoft Paint. Sure, it can do that, but the possibilities are so much more than that. In the film, Ozzy mentions a sugar pill curing cancer, but we later found out he just did it to cheer Drix up when he's about to exit Frank. Well, if the other pills are anything like Drix, why wouldn't they be able to? I would imagine in that world, cancer is similar to the other viruses we see in that it's a person with some kind of special ability. Well, why not send in an army of Drixes to hunt it down and take care of it? Better yet, why not design another microweapon like Drix that has whatever firepower it needs to kill cancer cells and to cure all diseases? My only guess is the cells in charge of that just don't care. We see how dismissive the mayor is of real problems that are affecting Frank, and instead of hearing them out, he does things selfishly and only worries about whether or not he'll get reelected.
Can you believe those lies?
Sir, he's got a point. You know, when I came to work for you, you promised you would concentrate more on health issues.
Leah, I want Frank to be healthy, but think of the sacrifices, the hard work, the lack of potato chips. That's not what the voters want.
Then why are you behind in the polls?
Don't you worry about the polls. I have a plan that's going to flush Colonic down the toilet.
Even when Frank is on his literal deathbed, the thing he's worried about the most is going to a chicken convention in Buffalo to brown nose his voter base.
Frank? Are you with me? Frank, are you with me? Are you okay?
I feel fine.
Say it.
Frank, hold on here. That's it. Hey, you're going to the hospital. The trip is off. Come on, pull it over, big guy.
If that isn't a good example of how the top brass acts in this world, I don't know what is. If the main Frank, that's what I'm calling the humans of this world, if the main Franks dies, it's not like they'll die with him. They can all just leave the body like these people and Drix were doing. It's clear that they can survive outside of it, so what's stopping them from jumping ship and moving on to the next, especially if they don't see the Franks as people and just as a piece of property? I doubt the animators went this in-depth when thinking up this world, nor did they imagine what the ramifications would be of what are likely just a bunch of jokes and visual gags they thought would be funny. But that's what I'm here to do. Push away the nonsense and expose the fact that people are nothing but property in this world that are easily replaceable and disposed of, and free will doesn't exist because there's a council of people inside of you that decide your every move. If you like this video, then please subscribe for more unnecessary deep dives into topics like this in the future.